Welcome once again to Auto Mundial, the weekly home of all the latest motoring news and reviews. Coming up in this episode, Chrysler shows off a new, wonderfully wacky concept car.
We've also got a hot hatch battle with a twist, but can an EV credibly join the fight?
Plus, Jeep takes us for a trip off the beaten track to show off a quartet of concept off-roaders.
That's all coming up. First though, the news.
After sticking to its original design since its inception, Italian supercar manufacturer Lamborghini has decided to overhaul its corporate look in 2024. As part of the rebranding, the famous Raging Bull logo is getting some touch-ups, and here is the final design. Following the trend of other refreshed automaker logos in the past few years, the new Lambo crest simplifies the texture of the outgoing look. Screaming V12 engines, the brand's bread and butter, are slowly going extinct, so different engine solutions are on the horizon. The new Revuelto is a perfect example of the choices supercar brands are making with its hybrid powertrain, and the new look is surely a symbol of this new era.
In many ways an emblem of the premium lifestyle, you will recognise the Mercedes V-Class as the luxury taxi making trips around your exotic holiday destinations. If you're a fleet manager looking for your next 5-star cab, or a future holiday goer excited for your summer abroad, there is an all-new V-Class to look forward to from Mercedes. Using design cues from the brand's all-electric EQ models, the new people carrier gets larger, wraparound headlights and a darkened grille for a smoother overall front end. But the rest of the van remains much the same outside. It's for the interior that most will gawk over a Merc MPV, and this newest iteration is certainly no different thanks to its spacious cabin, plush-looking seats and a long list of tech features. As one would expect for an upmarket people carrier, electronically adjustable seats front and rear get heating and cooling functionality, and a pair of sizable sunroofs let plenty of light in. Despite being separated from the passengers behind, like an early Rolls-Royce chauffeur, the Mercedes V-Class driver gets a stylish 12.3-inch widescreen for both infotainment and instruments. Wireless charging, a simplified centre console and heated steering wheel are also luxuries to benefit from up front. Alongside the standard V-Class now sits a battery electric model, dubbed the EQV, sporting either a 60 or a 90 kilowatt-hour battery, offering range of between 170 and 226 miles. Fast charging of up to 110 kilowatts makes for a 40-minute boost from 10 to 80% charge. Under the combustion model's bonnet, however, is a 2-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder engine available in 2 specifications, a 163 brake horsepower V220D or a V300D with 239 brake. The new V-Class starts from £74,500, whilst going for an extended wheelbase model will add £1,000 to the price. The V300 engine comes at a £5,000 premium, whilst the EQV is listed from £88,000.
Low-slung sports car, anyone? No, in the UK we're very much a nation fanatical about the hot hatch. But as burbling exhausts and pop and bang tunes disappear in favour of EV peacefulness, what does the hot hatch look like in the new era of enthusiast motoring? Well, we've already seen what Volkswagen's idea of a city hatchback is in the form of the ID.3, but the German manufacturer has just showcased what the spiritual successor to the Golf GTI will look like in this, the ID.3 GTX. Livening up the rather blank ID.3 design, this new GTX variant gets subtle changes all around the car for a more purposeful stance. New daytime running lights and a more angular bumper make for a mean front end. Redesigned side sills, rear diffuser and a lower suspension setup mean the car runs lower to the ground, looking nimbler. The whole thing sits on this funky set of 20-inch alloys. Elegant fabric and leatherette bucket seats look great, with red stitching paying tribute to the previous fast VW models. The same red touches travel onto the dashboard and across to the sporty steering wheel. The large infotainment screen protruding from the dash does appear somewhat ungainly for our liking, but it does help to adjust the adaptive chassis control settings. Under its fancy frock, the GTX isn't just faking its sporty credentials. The top performance model gets an eye-widening 326 brake horsepower to the rear wheels, whilst the standard model is no slouch either at 286 brake. 0 to 62 miles per hour is done in less than 6 seconds for both specifications. With its rather impressive performance stats, the VW ID.3 GTX sits somewhere in the middle of its slowly growing segment. In fact, there aren't a great deal of mainstream fast all-electric compacts.
Finding its place towards the lower end of the performance window is the Abarth 500e. The Italian performance brand may be celebrating its 75th anniversary this year, but it is still putting together fast versions of Fiat creations. Best known for its thunderous speaker-based exhaust note, the 500e could be considered something of a gimmick, but it nevertheless manages to perform just like previous combustion models, thanks to 150 brake horsepower, but mostly for tipping the scales at a featherweight 1.4 tons. As a result, 0 to 62 takes about 7 seconds, all whilst blaring out tunes of Abarth past.
Lying in a class above the new people's car is the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. In its sporty guise, the Ioniq gets beefier looks and firmer suspension, as well as a staggering 650 brake horsepower figure. As a result, acceleration is child's play, reaching supercar speeds faster than you can say, "This is too much." The standard car is no doubt a brilliant competitor to the ID.3 GTX at around 300 bhp and costing a little under £50,000. But it does get a softer, less dynamic suspension setup, as one would expect from a crossover. Furthermore, it isn't with the standard Ioniq 5 that you'll show off at the local supermarket car park. Compared to the N Edition, it does away with fancy carbon trim, sporty decals and performance-inspired interior design. But even without the special trim pieces, the futuristic shape has an attractive charm about it.
Both slightly larger than the Abarth, the Ioniq and the ID.3 offer decent boot space and enough legroom in the rear to keep most happy. So for daily use and ferrying a full family of 4 around, the cheaper model may not be the perfect choice. The VW has a few months yet until it goes on sale in August. When it does hit dealership forecourts, you can expect to spend from £50,000 onwards for the latest compact performance electric vehicle.
After the break, we head to the desert in Utah for some fun in the sun with Jeep.
Welcome back. Coming up, BMW gives the compact crossover segment another go, but first, how's this for a concept?
As part of the Stellantis group, Chrysler is seemingly committed to offering a fully electric range by the year 2030. But yet, to present a production Specificado NBEV, the American manufacturer long associated with semi-luxurious saloons has its work cut out. That is where this comes in. The Halcyon concept is the brand's latest version of what a low-slung, all-electric saloon could look like, wearing the Chrysler badge. And if it's anything to go by, our interest has been piqued by the name's future. A sleek design incorporating a glass canopy and chiseled nose, complete with a cool light bar and engraved angles throughout the body, this is certainly one of the prettier concepts from recent times. Better yet, if you do choose to get in this unique futuristic model to explore its cabin, the whole thing will open up, welcoming you to sit aboard. Inside, the Halcyon presents the same far-fangled and quirky cabin styling that the majority of modern car concepts show off. Aside its science fiction looks, the Halcyon comes with a number of intriguing, if not unimaginable, tech features. Ideas such as on-the-go wireless charging, allowing theoretically unlimited range, self-driving AI paired with a stargazing mode, and rear seats that retract into the boot will surely perplex. What we hope is not an unrealistic feature is the lithium-sulfur battery, an expensive technology many manufacturers are developing for its high energy density. Ultimately, wacky concept cars with sleek interiors and unmatched exterior styling are not a new thing. And if history has taught us anything, it's that models as out there as the Halcyon never make production. However, they do often offer up the odd element of design to future models. So let's all hope that this spaceship of a car provides future Chrysler generations with a touch of pizzazz.
The BMW X range may have started out in life around the millennium with the X5 and later its smaller sibling the X3. But as the SUV and crossover craze has continued, so too has the Bavarian manufacturer's march on the segment, introducing a model for every day of the week. One of the smaller models to bear an X on its boot lid is the X2, with its coupe roofline and compact dimensions. And in 2024, the popular little crossover is getting a refresh. For the 2024 model year, the X2 clearly gets far more aggressive styling. Redesigned headlights with sharper daytime LEDs and a more angular kidney grille aligns the car with other new BMWs, and more muscular body details also add to the raunchy look. The taillights are thin, fitting the sportier feel, whilst a much higher bumper and sloping coupe roof help to reduce the rear end surface, something most crossovers struggle to overcome. Although the exterior changes are certainly evident, the new model's headline features are on the inside. Following on from other recent BMWs, the X2 gets a large widescreen fitted to the dashboard, featuring the latest infotainment tech. This large display sets the tone for the crossover's interior as haptic buttons and charging points fill the cabin. Another top story for the X2 in this latest iteration is the first ever all-electric version. The iX2 sits on the same platform as the combustion model, but gets a few slight design tweaks for aero efficiency purposes, such as the solid kidney grille. The new shaped BMW X2 currently only gets 4 powertrain variants, 2 petrols and a pair of EVs. On the entry level of the spectrum, the 20i is a 1.5-litre 3-cylinder with 48-volt mild hybrid assistance, pumping out 170 brake horsepower for a top speed of 132. The full-fat M35i model, however, gets a 300 bhp 3-litre 4-pot, good for 155 miles per hour, and is able to reach 62 from a standstill in 5.4 seconds. The all-electric iX2 starts out with a 204 brake horsepower model in the eDrive 20, whilst 313 brake are available in the all-wheel drive 30. Both run on the same 64.8 kilowatt-hour battery fitted under the floor, allowing for a WLTP range of around 275 miles, or 10 less for the more powerful car.
Alongside BMW, Volvo is also rather efficient in transforming its combustion-powered models into fully fledged EVs, which is what the Swedes have done to its XC40, becoming the EX40 in EV mode. Fitting in with Volvo design language, the compact crossover gets more subdued styling compared to its Bavarian competitor. The cabin also displays the same minimalist approach, making for an airy place to be. By offering a larger cabin, however, the XC40 does limit boot space, providing just 450 litres to the Beamer's 560, despite the sloping roofline. The Volvo's practicality woes don't end there, as a larger 247 bhp turbocharged 4-pot with mild hybrid assistance means it will manage 31 miles per gallon, about a dozen less than the entry-level X2. Even the sporty M35i will still get a commendable 35.
For its greater practicality, the BMW demands an additional £3,000 over the Volvo's £37,000 starting price. Yes, the most affordable X2 starts at £40,500, but you won't get your hands on an electric model for less than £51,000. Order books for the new X2 and its all-electric sibling are open now, and we look forward to tracking its battle for class honours in the coming months.
Ever since its humble beginnings in the form of the Willys, Jeep has always been an off-roading-centric manufacturer. If you want a rough and ready 4x4, is there really a better choice? To celebrate this muddy heritage, the Stellantis manufacturer holds an annual event at the end of March in the Utah desert, introducing new off-roading concepts. This year, a quartet of one-offs joined the fleet, each using a current Jeep product as a base, for the most part adopting Jeep performance parts available for purchase, showcasing just how rugged these cars can be.
On the tamer end of the spectrum visually is the Wagoneer-based Vacationer concept. A bright lime green SUV with a white roof and retro wood grain graphics running down the side is certainly an eye-catching creation. On the modifications list is a collection of off-road additions, from the 35-inch mud tyres providing 1.5 inches of extra ground clearance to skid plate protection underneath and a winch, all of which help the Vacationer get to some remote and stunning locations. But what do you do once you get your one-off concept to the middle of the desert? Well, as the name would suggest, the bright concept is all about travelling, and so features a carbon fibre skyloft opening sleeping space for two. A total power output of 510 brake horsepower comes from the 3.0-litre twin-turbo Hurricane engine, which of course powers all four wheels.
The Willys Dispatcher gets a similar paint design to the Vacationer, with its mint green body and white wheels, though it uses the Wrangler 4xe as a base. This means its power comes from a plug-in hybrid system fitted to a 2-litre 4-cylinder, totalling 375 brake. The Dispatcher in particular echoes Jeep's heritage thanks to a retro interior design, including low-backed seats and saddle leather upholstery. We don't like the idea of cleaning post-trek mud off the lovely cabin, but luckily only Jeep has to worry about that on this one-off model. Upgrades on the open-top Wrangler include beefed-up axles, a redesigned bumper fitted with a worn winch, and 36-inch tyres and white wheels, proving once again that Steelies are wildly underrated.
A second Wrangler, looking even more muscular than the first, joins this year's Jeep Concept Collection. Finished in a lavish dark red tint, the low-down concept is perhaps the most extreme creation of the bunch. Based on a two-door Wrangler with a 475 brake horsepower 6.4-litre V8, the lowdown reportedly retains a low centre of gravity. But that doesn't stop it getting whopping 40-inch tyres, perfect for crawling even the most cumbersome rocks. It sits on the same suspension setup found in Wrangler Rubicon 392, so gets stronger axles front and rear to cope with rough terrain. Carbon fibre wheel arches show that no expense was spared on this model, but is sure to graze rocks on its first outings. Shortened front and rear bumpers, along with the larger tyres, help to dramatically reduce overhangs, increasing approach angles.
From the low down to the high top, for its final concept of the 2024 lineup. Jeep has heavily modified its Gladiator Rubicon, making for a fancy 4x4 ready to take on the desert in style. Much like the other three models, the Gladiator Rubicon high top gets enormous BF Goodrich tyres, a winch for those sticky situations, and some modified body panels. Meanwhile, the interior gets suave quilted leather seats that don't really fit the off-roading scene, nor the all-weather floor mats. But with plenty of rock and rain protection both inside and out, keeping this fancy pickup in gleaming condition will not be too tricky. Bearing the Rubicon name, the high top gets plenty of power from its 3.6-litre V6. But when it means you can venture off-road for days at a time, is there any reason not to want the vacationer concept?
Well, that is all we have time for this week, but do join us next time as we celebrate a rather special anniversary.